Day 4 of March Madness may be my favorite day yet. Not only did we have 3 one-score games at the very end, but also a rarity, a game-winning buzzer beater. If you missed days 1 through 3, don't worry, go to my channel, watch those before this video. But without further ado, we got 8 games on today to complete the round of 32, so let's get right into it. First off, we have the 1 seed Florida versus the 8 seeded UConn Huskies, who are back-to-back champs. Neither team shot it very well in this first half. They're tied 31-31, but Dan Hurley has his boys ready to play. This Terrace Reed Jr. dunk puts UConn up 6 points on Florida, putting them on upset watch with 9:24 to go in the game. Walter Clayton Jr. did not shoot it very well in this first half, but he's starting to heat up. Has a 3 here, makes this jumper. It's just a 1-point game, 59-58 with 4:27 left. And then Clayton Jr. hits this step back 3, putting Florida up for the first time in the second half. Will Richard has this clutch steal and dunk, putting Florida up 3, but Solo Ball hits a 3, putting a ton of pressure back on Florida. This game's tied with 2:12 left. Florida makes 1 of 2 free throws, but they get the offensive rebound, get fouled again. Walter Clayton Jr. makes both. So now Florida's up 3 with 1:29 left. And that's when Liam McNeely misses this 3. And Walter Clayton Jr., one of the best point guards in the entire nation, hits another 3, putting Florida up 6 with a minute left. Florida will hit their free throws down the stretch and win this one 77-75, avoiding the scare and making their first Sweet 16 since 2017. Walter Clayton Jr. finishes with 23 points and 3 rebounds. Elijah Martin, yes, that Elijah Martin from the Florida Atlantic team that made the Final Four with Dusty May in 2022, had 18 and 4. And fun fact for you, Vlad Golden was on that Florida Atlantic team. He's the best player on Michigan. And also, John L. Davis is with Arkansas. Lastly, Will Richard had 15 points and 6 rebounds. UConn finds themselves in a very unfamiliar situation, losing in the round of 32. But Liam McNeely, the freshman, had 22 points. Samson Johnson had 10 and 10 boards. In our second game of the day, we have number 1 seed Duke versus the 9 seeded Baylor Bears. Baylor's big Omier is cooking early in this game. Cooper Flagg gets poked in the eye, and just looking at his eye here, I don't know how it didn't affect his shooting the rest of the game. Duke's running away with this one early, up 47-30 at half, and they really wouldn't let Baylor get back into this game, winning 89-66. Cooper Flagg finishes with 18 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, but it was Tyrese Proctor who had the hot hand for today. He had 25 points, 9 for 10 from the field, 7 for 8 from 3. Baylor had a remarkable 18 offensive rebounds. Omier finishes with 15 and 9. He finishes a fantastic career at Baylor and Miami. VJ Edgecombe, top NBA draft prospect, had 16 and 6. And then former Duke guard Jeremy Roach off the bench had just 7 points on 3 for 10 from the field. Kentucky versus Illinois, a 3-6 matchup, is the next game of the day. Leading scorer for Kentucky, Otega Owe, is in foul trouble in this first half, but Kentucky is still up 37-32. Instead, it was the Kobe Bria show for Kentucky. He finishes this game with 23 points on 10 for 16 from the field. The Wildcats kind of just control this second half. Illinois is able to get it to as close as 6 points with this Kylan Boswell jumper, but they wouldn't be able to fully complete this comeback. Kentucky wins 84-75. They're back in the Sweet 16 for the first time in multiple years, and they become the first team in the last 20 years with 0 returning points to make it to the Sweet 16. Otega Owe finishes with 15 points and 4 rebounds. Amari Williams, 8 and 10. Kobe Bria, like we said, 23 and 6. Lamont Butler, a gutsy 14, 5, and 3 steals. Dude was playing with a hurt shoulder. You could see it. On the Illini side, Kasparis Yakachonis finishes his 1 season at Illinois with 13, 5, and 2. Kylan Boswell finishes his career with 23 and 6. Will Riley, the stud freshman, only had 5 points on 1 for 7 from the field. Kentucky moves on to a heavyweight SEC matchup in the Sweet 16 versus Tennessee. That's going to be a good one. Next up, we have 2 seed Alabama versus the 7 seeded St. Mary's Gales. Mark Sears again really struggled from the field early in this game, just like the first round. round. But Alabama is still firing on all cylinders, up 42-29 at halftime. And although St. Mary's plays them even in the second half, they only get it as close as 8 and never really make a serious threatening run at it. Alabama wins 80-66. Mark Sears finishes 5-15 from the field, 12 points. Chris Youngblood, 13 points, and Grant Nelson had 12 and 8. Randy Bennett, St. Mary's coach, has been there since 2001, and they've had some really good teams in that amount of time, but they've never quite been able to get to the Sweet 16 outside of once in 2010. So again, they fall short with a very talented team this year. Next up, we have our first game of the nightcap and my favorite game of the evening, everyone's favorite game of the evening, the 4-seeded Maryland Terrapins versus the 12th seeded Colorado State Rams. There's nobody hotter in college basketball right now than Colorado State. They were not projected to make the field just a mere couple weeks ago. They run it up in the Mountain West tournament, win it. They've won 15 of their last 17, and they're showing Maryland early how on fire they really are, leading 37-30 at halftime. But Maryland's not going to quit. They have the guard play. They have the bigs. Nick Clifford has this assist for Colorado State, putting it at a 5-point game. But then Gillespie hits this 3 and this Rodney Rice layup, tying it at 64. Julian Reese gets fouled, and now all of a sudden, Maryland is in the driver's seat. Julian Reese hits a jumper. Maryland is up 4 after barely leading in this entire game. Colorado State star Nick Clifford hits a couple of free throws. Then after this Gillespie missed jumper, Jalen Lake hits this shot. It's 68-68. Maryland misses a 3, but Julian Reese is relentless on the boards, and they get the offensive rebound and fouled. He makes both free throws. So now Colorado State has a chance to tie it or go for the win with 22 seconds left. And that's when Nick Clifford makes this pass cross court to Jalen Lake for the 3. It's 71-70. We just had our first game-winning shot of the tournament. Well, at least for the time being. There's still 3 seconds left on the clock, which is a lot of time for star freshman Derek Queen, who takes the ball, drives the lane, and hits this bank shot for the win. 72-71. The Maryland Terrapins are headed to the Sweet 16 on this buzzer beater. Our first buzzer beater of the tournament, and quite honestly, our first buzzer beater since 2018 that truly was a buzzer beater for a team that was down when they hit it. This game was crazy. This game was so good. My heart is crushed for Colorado State. I love Nick Clifford. This team felt like a team of destiny to really make a run at an Elite 8 or a Final 4. But at the same time, Maryland has been devastated by game-winning shots all season long. I think they've had like 4 total against them. So for them to have one of their own, honestly, they were due for it. Derek Queen is just absolutely cold-blooded for this shot. I'm no expert, but I really wish Nick Clifford was assigned to Derek Queen on this play. Either way, unbelievable play. The highlight of the tournament so far for me. Derek Queen finished with 17 points, 6 rebounds. Julian Reese, 15 and 11. Rodney Rice had 16, Miguel had 11, and Gillespie had 11 also. Maryland only got 2 points from their bench. On Colorado State side, Nick Clifford finishes his phenomenal career with 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Jalen Lake, 13 points, and 2 incredibly important jumpers. One of those we thought was a game-winning 3. And Bourne was a spark plug for Colorado State in this game. 10 points off the bench in just 14 minutes. But it's Maryland, the 4 seed, moving on to the Sweet 16 for the first time in how long? I gotta check. So the last time Maryland made the Sweet 16 was in 2016, led by the legend Melo Trimble. 3 seed Iowa State versus 6 seed Ole Miss. Ole Miss jumps out early in this one. Iowa State has the 5th best defense in the nation. Ole Miss has the 20th, but it's Ole Miss's defense that is affecting Iowa State's offense, holding the Cyclones to just 29 points in the first half, being up 40-29. In the second half, both teams would go off in terms of scoring, but Iowa State was never able to stop Ole Miss on offense. And this final score looks a lot closer than it really was. Ole Miss upsets the 3rd seeded Iowa State Cyclones 91-78. Sean Padula had 20 points, 4 steals, and 8 assists. He's been phenomenal in this tournament, the Virginia Tech transfer. Matthew Morrell had 15 as well, and then Malik Dia had 18 and 8. Off the bench, Jamin Brakefield also contributed 19 points. And Ole Miss shot a remarkable 58% from the field, 58% from 3, 11 for 19, which is just so uncharacteristic for this Iowa State defense. And speaking of Iowa State, this is now 2 very disappointing NCAA tournaments in a row. Last year, they made the Sweet 16, but they lose to 3rd seed Illinois. And this year, of course, getting upset in the round of 32. I have to say, though, if Keyshawn Gilbert is healthy, this is a completely different Iowa State team. But we all know that, and he's not healthy. It is what it is. It sucks if you're Iowa State, because I really feel like they've had one of the best teams in the country 2 years in a row now, and they have 1 Sweet 16 to show for it. Moving on to Michigan State, the 2 seed versus the 10 seeded New Mexico Lobos. New Mexico comes out hot, and honestly, it's their defense though that is limiting Michigan State early, up 24-14 on this Donovan Dent bucket. But it's going to take a lot more than just that to keep down Michigan State. They finish the first half on a run, down just 31-29. This game's all tied up with 7 minutes to go off this Donovan Dent layup. 51-51, but Jaden Akins was phenomenal in this game. He makes this 3. Frankie Fiddler follows it up with 6 straight points of his own. Michigan State all of a sudden is up 8. And this is while Jace Richardson struggled from the field, shot just 1 for 10 in this game. But after that run, New Mexico would not get the game closer than just 5 points once, the remainder down the stretch. And Michigan State wins 71-63. Like I said, Jaden Akins was phenomenal, 16 points on 7 for 11 from the field. Jace Richardson just 1 for 10 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. Only 6 points, but he did have 4 rebounds and 4 assists. And then Holloman and Fiddler off the bench with 14 and 10 respectively. Nelly Jr. Joseph finishes this game with a team high 16 points. Donovan Dent, their leading scorer, would have just 14. And our final game of the day takes place between the 4 seed Arizona Wildcats and the 5 seed Oregon Ducks. This is taking place in Seattle. It's practically a home game for Oregon, and they're acting like it immediately. Jackson Shellstad hits this 3. They're up 24-10 in the first 8 minutes. But Arizona settles in nicely, and Oregon cools off quite a bit. Arizona's up 42-38 at the break. This KJ Lewis 3-pointer will stretch the lead out to as much as 11 points, but Oregon is not done fighting. Down 80-73 with 2:01 left after Caleb Love hits this 3. Oregon will hit a 3 of its own, get a stop. Nate Biddle gets a bucket. This is now a 2-point game with just 49 seconds left. Oregon needs 1 more stop, but instead Caleb Love turns the ball over on the inbounds, and now Oregon has a chance to tie it with 45 seconds left. Instead, TJ Bamba misses this 3. Arizona gets the board. However, they'll make just 1 of 2 free throws, so they have 1 more chance here. Jackson Shellstad opts to go for the layup. They're down 1 with 10 seconds left. Arizona makes both free throws. They play the foul game. Jackson Shellstad makes both free throws. Arizona makes both free throws again. Del Orso now has 4 straight. But unfortunately, Oregon cannot get a 3 off. Arizona plays this foul game perfectly, and Arizona wins 87-83. Caleb Love went off for 29 points in this one, had 9 boards, 4 assists on 10 for 18 from the field. On the Oregon side, Jackson Shellstad had 25 points on 9 for 14 from the field. TJ Bamba had 17, and Nate Biddle had 16 and 11. That'll do it, guys. That is the end of the round of 32. Here's how we're looking for the Sweet 16, and I'm going to list these all out quickly. You have Auburn versus Michigan, a 1-5 seed. You have Ole Miss, a 6 seed versus 2 seed Michigan State. 1 seed Duke, 4 seed Arizona. 6 seed BYU versus 2 seed Alabama. 1 seed Florida versus 4 seed Maryland. 3 seed Texas Tech versus 10 seed Arkansas. 1 seed Houston versus 4 seed Purdue, and 3 seed Kentucky versus 2 seed Tennessee. We have just 1 double-digit seed in the Sweet 16. Personally, I wish for more upsets than we got this year. However, the Sweet 16 is going to be jam-packed full of very high-level basketball. That's one thing we've said all year. These top-level teams are truly elite. And so the Sweet 16 will be fun. Only a couple-day break, about 3-4 days. Let's regroup. I'll probably make a couple videos this week, maybe one historic one on Cinderellas and then another one on everything you need to know before the Sweet Sweet 16. As always, guys, this is one of my favorite times of the year. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. Please give me ideas, not just for this channel going forward, but also my gaming channel, my college basketball gaming channel called MAT. I want to be able to do this full time for you guys, so I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much for the love and support this year on these videos, and as always, we'll see ya on the hardwood.